Yo, welcome back to Soul Sessions, where we don't just talk about issues, we get to the root of them. And today we're tackling a crisis that's affecting men everywhere, the mental health crisis. Whether you're a black man, a white man, Latino, Asian, it really don't matter. I mean, the pressure to be enough is universal, and it's taking a toll on men across the board. And I know like a lot of y'all feel like men issues are maybe not warranted or shouldn't be discussed as much because we're supposed to be strong or resilient. But, sometimes it's okay to talk about that. You know what I mean? And I know that feeling. Guys, I know the feeling of feeling like you're not enough. Or when certain situations happen, it feel like you're carrying the world on your shoulders. And that pressure is real. And it's breaking all of us down. And it's definitely affecting me in some type of way, man. And I'll be willing to share that with you guys out here as well. But here's the thing, man. We're not just going to talk about the problem. We're definitely going to explore how communities are stepping up to address it. And this is one for all the brothers out there who feel like they're drowning. Man, we see you. We see your progress. We see you trying to change. We see that you're trying to make ends meet for your family, for your kids. So we're here to uplift you, man, and we're going to go ahead and get into it. Now, fellas, let's start with something that every man can relate to. Like I said, I've definitely been through it. That pressure to be enough for our families, enough for our job, enough for society. You know what I mean? Like, we're taught that our worth is tied to our success, our ability to provide, and to be the strong, silent types, right? That's the role that society has put for men a lot of the times. But what happens when we fall short, when we're not able to be strong for ourselves? You know what I mean? Like, who's going to be in our corner? And eventually, when we feel like we can handle so much and we don't have that person in our corner. Now, if you have your special lady, or if you have a good relationship with your parents, whether it's your mother or your father, if you have a good relationship to whatever loved one means the most to you out there, what happens to those guys when they don't have those elements? That pressure begins to build up. And before you know it, you're questioning your own value. And this isn't just a problem for one group of men. You know what I'm saying? I know that a lot of times when you speak on those types of things, the commonality is that it's a black man's issue, right? But it's definitely something that all men in general have all faced. And it's no matter where we come from, we face it to some degree. It may not be the same, but that pressure is, you know what I mean? So, man, let me tell y'all, like back on talking about that pressure, right? So the pressure is real and it's universal. You know what I mean? Like, we have such a bad habit as men of trying to live up to expectations that society places on us. But nobody is talking about that mental toll that it takes. We're supposed to be the providers, the protectors, right? But at what cost? When we keep it all inside, we're not being strong. We're just surviving. And I know y'all can relate to that. And that survival mode is what eventually slowly, wears us down. It drains our energy. It keeps us unbalanced. You ever wake up some days and you're just mad for no damn reason and you can't ever figure it out? It'd be those type of days, right? And let's be real. How many of us have been out here trying to be Superman only to end up feeling like Clark Kent on his worst day? You know what I mean? Like, we just woke up with some kryptonite on our chest. And sometimes that pressure to be everything for everyone can be really heavy. And as men, man, we try to hold it all together. But on the inside, man, our eternal being, you know what I mean? Our heart, the lungs that we breathe out of, that gut feeling, it begins to crack. And it's really time, this is 2025, y'all, and we definitely got to stop pretending like we got it all figured out as men and start being real about what we're dealing with, because that's the only way that we'll be able to eventually progress and move forward, right? So let's talk about the stigma that keeps men from reaching out for help. It doesn't matter what community you're from, just like what I reiterated earlier, there's this idea that asking for help makes you weak. You know, Things like therapy, which I'm definitely a big component of, and I can tell you guys a lot of, man. Or talking about your feelings, like I said, whether it's to your significant other or, someone that you can instill your trust in when it comes to expressing your feelings. To many of us, and I'm not saying that, you guys think like that, but to some of you guys or individuals that may think like that, they may think that that's a sign of failure or some type of weakness. But here's the truth. Ignoring your mental health, it really ain't strength. It isn't strength. Always having this mindset that I can just get through these problems, I can just overlook that. Sometimes that's not always the way to go, especially during these times that we facing. And if you continue to ignore that, fellas, it can end up being like that, a ticking time bomb. And it only takes that one little thing or that one little situation and it'll tear your world apart. So as men, man, we got to change the narrative and start seeing mental health as a part of overall health. Now, again, the stigma around mental health is real. And at the same time, it's holding us back as men. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've been conditioned to think that we've got to man up and keep it inside. But holding it in, what eventually ends up hurting us the most. And it's time to normalize those things by seeking help, talking about what's going on in our heads, whether it's, hey, even if it's to ourselves, you know what I mean? Or if you're talking to God or, whatever you may believe in, if you have to do that, do that as well. If it helps to get those thoughts out or to ease up some of those emotions, do it. And we got to be better as men. It's not a black man thing, no matter what race, color, or creed. We got to support each other going through these things. And again, whether you're black, white, Latino, Asian, whatever race group you're a part of, this is an issue that affects us all. Now, fellas, too many of us are suffering in silence because we're afraid of being judged. But what's stronger, fighting for your battles alone and losing them battles, or reaching out before it gets too late and getting that support that you need to win in life? We got to start having these conversations more openly, and we got to do it even with each other as men, so without judgment, you know what I mean? And we got to have that understanding that it's okay to not be okay. And that's the only way we can break that generational cycle if it affects some of us. And that's how we break that stigma and really just start healing. And guys, look, don't look at therapy like this is just a thing for people in Hollywood or folks that have money. It's definitely for everybody. And I've definitely been a proponent. So I was going to get back to that, what I was saying about the mental health things that, a couple of years ago, when everything slowed down for all of us, whenever we were going through, those times in 2020 and it kind of ran its course for about 2.5 to 3 years, right? And, during that time when everything slows down and you have to slow down, that's when all the problems creep up. That's when all that negativity, them things that you thought about in life, your past, the decisions that you made, how you're feeling about yourself in the moment, all of those things begin to creep up on you. And I'm here to tell y'all that if you have a problem and you feel like that problem is going to risk everything around you, and what I mean by that is, like, if you feel like you have a problem and it's getting to a point where you're going to lose everything, there's that thing that should click in your head, and that's the thing that clicked in my head, that it was time to change. And like I said, therapy ain't just for Hollywood folks. It's for people that really do need help. And you don't have to keep worrying about that stigma like, oh, what if I get into mental health and I don't want to tell this strange person or this doctor my business. You may not encounter that person for the rest of your life. You may not even see that person again. So it's kind of better to get those things out. And if you still feel like you don't trust, professional help, then talk to God, if anything. But don't crash out on, making mistakes or making a decision that's going to punish you or punish your children or your family or your loved ones in the long run, right? So let's use this example. So let's say, for instance, fellas, like if your car breaks down, you take it to a mechanic, right? Why wouldn't you take your mind to a therapist when it's not running right? If you know you got issues with a car, you're gonna take that to a mechanic. Now, every guy like to be a mechanic. You know what I'm talking about. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, you would do the same thing. Or you will figure it out. You get on Google or YouTube and figure it out. You know how we always try to be ourselves mechanics. You know how we guys is. We act like we know what we're doing sometimes. But it's the same way when you're thinking about therapy. You got to correlate those things too. So why wouldn't you want to take your mind to be fixed? And we got to normalize getting help, especially if we need it, so we can be the best versions of ourselves. And not only to do it for ourselves, but for the guys. I say, if you have a loved one, if you have a mother or just a family member that you adore, if you have children that look up to you, why wouldn't you want to be the best version of yourself for them? So, I'll send that off with that one. So what's being done to address this crisis that I was speaking on earlier, right? The good news is that, with the resources that we have through the internet, through transportation, through social media, all of those types of things, we have the opportunity to step up in ways that we've never seen before. And it's good that, since these times now, that mental health has become more of a normal topic. So we have to continue to see more mental health initiatives tailored especially for men, because we really don't have a lot of avenues to go to, or we may not feel like we have a lot of avenues to go to because of that mental pride that we like to keep inside. And I think that once we learn how to let it go, or we can be trusting enough to let those things go, more things can start happening for us out of the open, and more resources could become available. But we have to speak up in order for those things to happen. So rather, you may find like a support group, why don't you get some of your friends together? Like, instead of going out to a club, why not have like some type of weekly event at one of you guys' houses and play some poker and shoot up the shit or whatever y'all guys like to get into, and talk about some of those problems. And I don't see that there's nothing wrong with it. And I know that some guys naturally do that, when they do play poker or gaming or, whatever, watch sports, whatever they like to do. But why not make that a more normal thing, or a more weekly thing? And there's nothing wrong with that. And guys, we got to stop making it so awkward or making it feel like that those types of things are a problem. So a support group is definitely a good thing. Those therapy sessions that I was talking about, those things could definitely be a good thing. And the reason why I say that is that you may not be able to see things within yourself that a professional may be able to see on the outside looking in. Now, they may not know your full background or every little pieces of your life, but they may be able to put together some things that maybe not clicking together. Of course, you're going to know yourself the best, but hey, it's nothing wrong with that. Or even just going back to having them honest talks like in a barbershop, something that I definitely missed, and I was a part of. So, we should get back to those things. And some places still do hold that down. And for the fellas in the barbershops that are doing those types of things, man, keep it up, because we definitely need that as men. And eventually, if we can cross that racial barrier, communities will start to open up and break down those barriers that has kept us separate all these years. But I said, this is 2025, and there has been a shift changing, and it's very powerful. And I really feel like men are starting to realize that it's okay to talk about their struggles. And I said, we got plenty of resources nowadays that can help us heal and can help us get to that place where we need to be, right? And I say whether it's in support groups, therapy, or just opening up to your friend, we have those tools available to us. And as a community, we got to keep pushing this conversation forward, because mental health definitely matters, man. And like I said, I'm a proponent of it. And let me tell you, now ain't nothing cooler than seeing a brother take care of his mental health. You know what I'm saying? It's like putting oxygen mask. Boy, it's like putting your own oxygen mask on before helping somebody else. So let's put everything into perspective. You know, you got to be right within yourself before you can be right for anybody else. And I definitely stand on that. I don't know about y'all or how y'all feel about it, but something I definitely stand on. So let's keep that energy going and make mental health a priority in our community. So this is definitely time for an engaging session. And if you guys would like to leave a comment, we have definitely opened up this time for that type of comment. I want to know what y'all take is. How is the mental health conversation changing in your world, and what do you think needs to happen? And also, guys, check out my community poll question that I will have right after this recording, and I would like for you guys to chime in on it and get more of y'all opinions. And remember, y'all, let's keep these stories going. Like I said, keep commenting. Please do that. You know what I'm saying? And if y'all have resources that can help the next fella out there, drop those resources, you know, for them. If it can help the next person, man, let's do it. And, you know, hey, I'll be more than willing to take that in for my platform and share it out there to anybody that needs it. So, you know, this ain't just about just talking. It really is about like changing lives, because you never know what you can do or what resource you can provide for the next person, and it can really help them in a big way. So again, man, we got to take the mental health thing seriously, fam. The mental health crisis that's facing men isn't going to fix itself no time soon. And it's really on us to break that silence. You know, we can't be this hard wall in the corner and act like things should move around us, because it's not. You know, the world is not going to stop spinning. So we have to kind of look at life that way and break that stigma, and let's start healing ourselves. And again, man, this is another episode of Soul Session. And again, man, we keep it real, we keep it raw over here, and we always gonna keep it soulful. So, man, to hit y'all with a little final thought, remember, you're not alone in this. There's strength in seeking help, and there's power in community. So until next time, fellas, take care of your mind, take care of your soul, keep rising. And remember, man, we all in this together. So this has been another one on Soul Sessions. I'm out. Peace.